So I think I probably have been getting a lot of questions about Karuna Reiki because I'm teaching a Karuna Reiki masterclass coming up in a couple of weeks. So the invocation was great. I didn't know what it was going to do, but it did go ahead and bring in the symbols in Karuna Reiki so that you could experience their nature. They're always a part of our invocations, whether I have said them by name or whether I've just intended them. All of us, Robyn, Danny, and myself have all had Karuna Reiki for a lot of years and have been working with it for a lot of years. So just to give kind of a quick overview of it, and then since we've been talking about lineages and history, I'm going to go into a little bit about the lineage and the history of Karuna Reiki too, and tie it in with the history that we've been talking about throughout January. So Karuna Reiki is typically taught to a person who's had Reiki 1 and 2. Those are going to be with the Usui symbols of the power symbol, mental, emotional symbol, and the distance symbol. And a person who has received the Usui master symbol, the DKM. And many people who have holy fire as a master symbol then also have Karuna Reiki. But you do need to have been a Reiki master of some kind to take the Karuna Reiki class for at least 6 months. And that is so that you're prepared with the level and the frequency of the Karuna Reiki symbols. Now, Karuna Reiki by some lineages is taught as a practitioner class and only works with 8 symbols, and the 8 that came into the invocation today. So Zonar, Halu, Hearth, and Rama, Nosa, Iava, Shanti, and Kriya. Those are the 8 Karuna symbols. And then there are 2 different lineages of Karuna Reiki, the Usui Tibetan lineage of Karuna Reiki and the Holy Fire lineage of Karuna Reiki. They both are branches of the original Karuna Reiki, and both were developed by William Rand. And they actually are very compatible with one another. They're not like one is better than the other. It's just a shift in the way that the lineage and the evolution of the Karuna Reiki worked. But for all the people who are working with the original Karuna Reiki, that has the master symbols from the Usui and Tibetan master symbols. Also, it has the symbol Om and along with that. So in the Holy Fire Karuna Reiki, that is a master class, and that is all 8 symbols and the Holy Fire Master symbol. So we felt the energy of the symbols in the invocation. Essentially, the kind of elevator version of Karuna Reiki is that the energy is compassionate action. It very directly connects us to balanced compassion. Compassion also has an authority that goes with it. So oftentimes we think compassion is acceptance of all things, but compassion also has an authority. So a simple explanation of that might be the term tough love. That also sometimes Sometimes you have to, you know, compassion is to say the thing that needs to be said, and but may also be uncomfortable to be the thing that needs to be said or the action that needs to be taken. So that's a part of it. And for me, I found that it really brought in a clarity of my own inner authority, authentic self, and my own authentic voice. And it did that on a cellular level through my actual system. So the energy of Nosa, and the energy of Zonar and Halu specifically are very much about your authentic self being revealed physically. Like there's an actual change in your cellular memory waking up with the cells within you that are actually filled with your authentic gifts, your talents, your soul's knowledge, your wisdom, your intellect. And then each of the symbols has its own, of course, kind of focus that the energy works with. So the energies are very much about really entraining us in our own physical body to the higher frequencies that we live within and that are our real true nature. Also, what I see Reiki doing everywhere in all the lineages with all the symbols, starting with Reiki 1, is really bringing us back to the connection with our authentic human spirit. That it's really important for us to be in our own authentic nature. The symbol Kriya and Rama do that very much in Karuna Reiki. So, you know, each of you can be guided to the differences in the energies that you're called to. And there's not a better than. So often we think of like evolution necessarily meaning that somebody's stating a better than. There are energies each of us are guided to and that resonate within us. And they're all really beautiful. I'm checking the time so I can go a little bit into the history. So, you know, you may be guided to take Reiki all the way through Karuna Reiki, and you may stay with Reiki 1. And all of that is just right for you, and there's no better than. So going back a little bit into the history of Karuna Reiki. So we've been talking about the history in the past month and kind of tying it into the techniques that we use for Reiki and understanding how those techniques developed over time and the different lineages of Reiki and how the lineages developed over time. So now we're going to go back to Usui Sensei all the way at the beginning of this lineage of Reiki that you know we all are working within. That one of the things that Usui Sensei said is the most important thing for a Reiki person to do is to continually develop the quantity and quality of Reiki that we work with. So we see that happening through the course of the history of Reiki, and we're going to go into the other symbols in another, you know, in some of these following weeks coming up, and tying them back into the history of them, understanding the history and the development of them and how they show up in the different lineages. So, of course, we go Usui Hayashi Takada, and then after Mrs. Takada passed, the Reiki Alliance, where the 22 Reiki masters were working and developing. Some of it was staying within the Reiki Alliance lineages, and then some of it was developing others. So I'm going to go forward then to William Rand, who studied in the 80s and received his Reiki master attunements and the Tibetan Reiki Raku Ki attunements in the 80s. Well, he ended up combining two different systems. He learned the Usui Reiki that Mrs. Takata taught through the Reiki Alliance. And he also learned Raku Ki with Arthur Robertson, which was a Tibetan lineage of what could also be called Reiki. It was also working with symbols and working with hand positions and energies. So he combined that into one class, and that's where the Usui Tibetan lineage came from. So in the Usui Tibetan lineage, if a person was a Usui Tibetan Reiki master, they would have the Usui symbols of the power symbol, mental, emotional symbol, and the distance symbol that are given in Reiki 2. And then the master symbol that Mrs. Takata taught, DKM. And they would also have a Tibetan DKM master symbol, and also the Tibetan fire symbol. And those three master symbols, and then the four Usui or the three Usui symbols. So now move into the 90s. And William was teaching those classes, and he continued to have people who were bringing him different symbols, and there was a consistency of the symbols. Okay, I'm looking at time. So there was a consistency of the symbols that he was being shown, and at the same time, he could hear guidance that he was being shown something. But he, you know how that is, like you can hear the guidance, but you're not, it hasn't coalesced, and you haven't quite put it into, oh, here's what I'm being shown. This is the guidance I'm receiving. So he listened for a while, and finally at one point realized that, oh, these symbols are coming together for a purpose. So he gathered with other Reiki masters that were clairvoyant and very skilled, and they worked with a variety of symbols to determine what they were, and then realized in that work that they wanted to become a system. And then it was which of these symbols would be a part of the system, because some of them came from other systems. And actually, William was told that many of them came from some of the healing systems of the Guru Sai Baba, who was in India. He is from India. He's passed on now, but he was alive at the time. So they put the system together and called it Sai Baba Reiki. Well, William was doing research. He's very into research, whatever he's doing, and sent a letter to the ashram in India for Sai Baba and asked about the symbols and could they tell him more about it. And so they wrote back, and they actually showed the letter to Sai Baba. And he said, well, actually, the symbols don't come from me, and I really don't know you. So could you please not call it Sai Baba Reiki, give it a different name? And he honored what William was doing, but asked that he gave it a different name. And of course, William realized, oh, well, of course, it made sense. So he was listening more, and that's when he heard the word Karuna. And it's a Sanskrit word that means compassionate action. And that's when the system really coalesced. And it was taught both as a practitioner class and a master class. And it was taught with the Usui Tibetan lineage. So those master symbols and the symbols of the Usui Tibetan lineage were part of the Karuna Reiki lineage. So that continued to be taught. It's been taught worldwide. Many people practice with Karuna Reiki. Also, many lineages don't use Karuna Reiki. So again, it's a matter of whether you feel guided to it. If you hear it and the energy resonates with you and it guides you to it. So now fast forward to when Holy Fire Reiki came in 2014, the Holy Fire Reiki energy also developed its own Karuna Reiki system where Holy Fire was the master symbol with the 8 symbols of Zonar, Halu, Hearth, Rama, Nosa, Iava, Shanti, and Kriya. So in the Holy Fire system, it's the Holy Fire master symbol and those 8 symbols. So the 2 symbol or the 2 lineages are still completely supported by the ICRT. We have some ICRT teachers that are teaching both and or one or the other. So both are honored equally. They are a matter again of which one resonates with you. If you want to take Karuna Reiki, and depending on if you're going to, well, actually in both lineages, to take Karuna Reiki, you have to have had the Usui master symbol, DKM, for at least 6 months. And both lineages, that would be true. That would be the prerequisite for both lineages. The other piece of this, Laurel Gaia, she passed it's been almost a year now. She was my mentor, and she was a really, amazing teacher of Karuna Reiki. Was also the, how much the energy increases your spiritual communication and awareness. So very much this energy is aligned with the angelic realms. Many people work with some of the, higher frequencies of different religious beings. Kuan Yin is a significant teacher of compassion. Mother Mary, another significant teacher, the Divine Mother of compassion and compassionate action. The energy works through the light of grace. And so it actually is very gentle in how it does its healing work, because it really reveals your authentic self. And that's what's so empowering, is it's like suddenly you have that, energy kind of, empowered within you, that life force within you. So anyway, I'm going to go ahead and wrap up the discussion with this. I'm always like, oh, there's so much more to say, but we'll keep talking in these following weeks about some of these things. And again, we are working on getting it developed so we can put it on YouTube so you can listen afterwards, or if you're not here, that it'll be something you can always find afterwards. And so thank you. And thank you for that discussion. And again, I receive emails with questions that also guide what we talk about here that people are asking about. I am teaching a Karuna Reiki masterclass mid-February. I should have had those dates ahead of me. Danny probably knows what they are, but somewhere in February. And you can go to reikilifestyle.com and look at those. The classes are all online. So just like this, it's a Zoom class, but a lot smaller.
It's February 22nd through the 24th.
Okay. Thanks. Okay. Oh, what Karuna will I be teaching? I teach Holy Fire Karuna Reiki. All of my classes are Holy Fire 3 classes. The 1 and 2s are Usui Holy Fire 3 Karuna Reiki, and the master is Holy Fire, Usui Holy Fire 3 Reiki Master, and then the Karuna is Holy Fire 3 Karuna Reiki Master. It is a master class. So when you take that, you will also be able to teach it If you have not had holy fire training before, this does ignite you or attune you to the holy fire master symbol. And you don't have to have had the master symbol prior to taking the holy fire Karuna Reiki masterclass. It will give you that symbol. You will still, if you still want to teach the other, Usui Tibetan, and you're already Usui Tibetan, you can continue with that too. But this training is holy fire training.